As always, counting backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2. If it's Tuesday, that can mean only one thing, that you are in the right place. If you're here for comic book school, welcome. It's great to see you again as every week. And this week, we'll be talking with you about something that you should never talk about in polite company, politics. But you know what? I think you're ready for it because, all day, every day, the news, endless cycles about politics. And what we're going to be doing here tonight, and I say we because I have to bring my partner in, what we're going to be talking about today is what you can do about it as a comic book creator and what's been done before. But I'm going to also bring in my red, white, and blue buddy, Mike Fasolo. Mike, you're looking very patriotic today.
I'm very patriotic today. I also feel like I'm kind of slanted.
You're a little slanted. By the way, my daughter just threw me some Zeiss lens cleaner. So let me just, this is not a bit, Mike. My lens is a little murky. Is that any better?
That looks about the same, but yeah.
Did you notice that I'm wearing eyeglasses tonight?
I do. What's going on?
I don't know. I'm not feeling great tonight, Mike. So my eyes are feeling a little bit tired and squinty and red, more squinty than usual, I think.
Is that flu? Is that a cold? Is that some little bug you picked up from?
I think it's electionitis, Mike. I think I've got electionitis, and I don't know. I was just trying to segue.
You did a pretty good job.
I don't think that was a very good job. Mike, they, the 24-hour news stream means that we're going to hear about the election literally nonstop for the next several months. Yes. And I just thought, okay, for those of us who typically don't think a lot about politics, I'm going to put myself in that category. I don't think a lot about politics. I don't know about you.
I try not to.
I try not to as well. But I do think that as comic book creators and you as a screenwriter in Hollywood, you can't escape the zeitgeist sometimes. We already have comments coming in. Jared. Hi, buddy. And Mike. Jared, how are you guys? Jared is dialing in from down under.
Oh, he's the down under.
He is the down under. He does, and he has a great accent. And
he probably hates it when I do the accent.
No. He absolutely loves it, Mike. So, Mike, I put together some interesting slides tonight where we'll be able to talk about comic book creators and politics for our friends who are actually thinking about what they can do with their platform and their talent. And that's why we're calling this episode Comics and Politics in an Election Year. What do you think of the graphic?
I think that's a pretty awesome graphic.
Eye-catching, huh?
Yeah, it's very, very bright.
Yeah. Well, all of our actual graphic designers who were helping me out, I think I alienated all of them with my graphics, and now I'm stuck doing the graphics all myself.
Well, I don't think I could do it, so you're doing a much better job than I could.
So, Mike, let's get right into it. What's this, Mike?
You must have hit the wrong button.
I hit the right button because I want everybody to know that I think next month they will be releasing a very Valentine's Day special in which I have a story. See the red arrow pointing to the Faith and Archer in Love Hurts. That's the story that I created in there. And in an upcoming episode, we're going to have some of the creators join us and talk about their stories in a very Valentine's Day special. How does that sound, Mike?
That sounds pretty awesome. Have you pre-ordered at your local comic shop yet?
I did actually pre-order a copy because I don't know how many comps they will send me. So I am just going to take it from there. Hold on, Mike. Let's just Jared. Jared says, "Well, I'm very well, thanks, and I love when you do the accent."
Thank you, Jared. I will try not to abuse the privilege.
Do the accent. Let me hear how good it is.
Jared, he's from down under. Crikey. That's about all I can do.
I think we're losing viewers at this point. All right, Mike. So everybody is going to pre-order a copy of this. Make me proud, folks. Make this thing sell. And listen, you see if I'm any good at what I do, right, Mike? Maybe they'll stop watching the show if they decide that I'm not a very good writer.
This is the test.
This is the test. It might be one of the tests. Okay, so there's an old adage, Mike, never talk about religion or politics in polite company. Wise advice. I think if you've ever gone to a family get-together and somebody decided that they would talk about politics or religion, it can be awkward. Am I right?
It's very awkward. It either brings the conversation to a screeching halt, or everyone gets on their high horse and starts saying what they think.
Yeah,
that never leads to good things.
I feel like it doesn't lead to good things. However, if you're watching tonight, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't use your art form to share your views. I mean, for years, comics have taken on politics, and I think we should take a look at that, Mike, and see what creators have done in the past, and then maybe make sense of what they can do this calendar year during the crazy election season.
All right, fire it up. Let's see what you got.
So first, Mike, the election will land on November 5th, 2024. As everybody probably knows or might not know, president is not elected on the popular vote, but rather on the votes of the Electoral College. That's representatives. And it's very, very important to note that not every state has the same number of representatives. And this is very confusing for a lot of people, and because let's face it, not everybody has the same educational background. They didn't go to the same schools. So presidents are elected on the Electoral College. You can see there from the map. This is from Wikipedia, how many electoral votes. The survey on the right is a Gallup poll that shows, obviously the red line is for Republican, the blue line is for Democrat. The shifting of views of who they would support. When people say that, this is the most divided the country has ever been, I would say, why don't you take a look when the country was really divided, right? I would say that the country is, in a lot of ways, pretty closely split, 50-50 almost, in a lot of ways, of people who lean in one direction or the other. And I think it's really important to note that statistically, this country is almost completely evenly split.
Usually works out that way. 49-51. You always see that a lot.
Yeah, you do. And it's pretty close. The next slide is very interesting as well, in that you can see that it has been this way for a very long time. As far back as your favorite president, Cleveland, because his name was Grover.
Grover, because that was a cool name.
Grover. But I think the key thing is you can see that this country has often been divided. The yellow in the middle represents independent voters, Mike. And usually they say the rule of thumb is in a close race between the two major parties. It is often the bar in yellow, the undecideds, the independents, who will decide an election. The big yellow bar here for Clinton, a lot of people will say that the votes for Ross Perot in that year were going to go to Republicans potentially. Instead, they went independent for Perot, causing Clinton to win. That's a post analysis, not my analysis. But you can see that the narrowing of the independent field, you can see the independents a little wider here, a little narrower here. And here we are, Mike. We are right at the point where we are about to elect a new president. Tonight, as we're doing our cast, there will be, I believe, a primary tonight or something.
Yep, New Hampshire.
Yep. In New Hampshire. So that's a big one. And the Republican field is down to 2 candidates, and the Democratic incumbent, Joe Biden, is the likely candidate for the Democratic Party. So we might have a Trump-Biden election campaign again this year.
Yep, certainly going to be interesting.
So it is interesting, and when they talk about the sheer amount of money that goes into campaigns in advertising, apparently it doesn't go to comic books because I don't, or the shows that you work on, because I don't see any of this money. Do you?
It doesn't come anywhere near me, which always upsets me when they go like, oh, this person raised $7 million, and I'm like, I could do so much for so much less.
Right. You and me both, pal. Like, I could do a lot with $7,000. I could publish like 2 issues of a comic, and I would run an ad on the back, whatever they need me to run. I don't care. I'll run whatever candidate they want. But I think what's important to note on this slide, and let's just go back to the previous slide, it should be noted, Mike, in the next couple of slides where we show the examples and also share our insights. You have a 50-50 chance of getting people to think what you're doing is super cool, and a 50-50 chance of people going, that's awful, right? Like, like if you're going to put your neck out there, just be prepared that the split in this country is pretty even, right? Like, if you support one side or support the other side or get behind one candidate or not another candidate, you're going to have 50% support and 50% people who are not very happy about you. I pissed off Ben Templesmith, my American understanding of Australia, so don't feel too bad. Nope. Okay. Got it. That was Glenn Gatilla. Gatilla must have done something. Really, what else is there? I don't know what that was in reference to. I thought it was always cable news playing up the divide. Really? Grover? Grover. Yeah, absolutely.
Grover name.
That's Grover. Right. Great name. There needs to be more kids named Grover.
I don't know about that.
The audience is now just talking to each other.
Those kids who
Mike Fasolo, politics on a budget.
Do that too.
I would say, you know what, Mike, you're looking very patriotic. I did red and blue. You went full on red, white, and blue.
Yeah, I found a hat and it was white. So I said, I'll add that to the mix.
I think you look terrific. Gatilla says, and on that election day, I will eat 5 edibles and transition from this human form.
Oh,
I should note that'll be a Tuesday, Glenn. So you'll be on the show with your edibles while we're streaming live. And then Marianne, our good friend Marianne, just said, "Hey there, everybody. Hey, Marianne, nice to see you." So, but I will vote. Vote, kids, when you're 18. So, Mike, you are registered to vote, I assume?
Of course I am registered to vote.
Good. Okay, so 50-50, more evidence that it's more or less 50-50. And I just want to note that this graph dispels the concept, as does this one, dispels the concept that this is most the country's ever been divided. When people go, this is most country, we've never seen so much fighting and political. And I'm like, people stabbed each other in duels. What I mean?
It has been this way since the beginning of politics.
Since the beginning of politics. So let's just take it the early version. This is one that people point out all the time, but it is worth noting that Captain America socked Hitler in the jaw on March 1st, 1941, a full 6 to 9 months before the actual attack on Pearl Harbor, at which point, soon after, America entered World War II. So we were not yet at war when comic books took a pretty bold approach to America socking Hitler in the jaw.
Did he break his jaw? Because
I
Captain
don't
America
know.
can hit pretty hard.
I don't know, but like, is it, this is a pretty big shot across the bow, right? Like, this was a pretty gutsy move. Now, you have to remember contextually, in the United States, and there still is today, there was a pretty active Nazi party in the United States, including in New York City, where Joe Simon and Jack Kirby were creating the original Captain America comic book. So they were commenting literally on current events about the Nazi party and Hitler right in the city in which they lived. It was, I would say, a pretty gutsy political commentary. Mike, did you know all of this?
I did not. I vaguely remember seeing this cover at some point because I think it's fairly popular in the comic book realm.
Yeah, it's definitely an iconic cover, but when you consider that it did precede us going into war, and a lot of people are not aware that the Nazi Party was a highly visible political party, including in the United States during the 1940s.
I did not know that.
They did not know that. And it was called Captain America. It wasn't like, like we're going to gloss over this. It was Captain America. He's holding the flag. He's punching Hitler. They're not even trying to cover it. It is really Hitler. And I think that is a fascinating opening to things that say that, you can't do politics and comics right there. Kids, politics and comics. So Simon and Kirby had an editor who was pretty pro-Hitler before a lot of the atrocities started coming to the light. Wow, that's actually a bit I didn't know. But they definitely made their own feelings known. That is a great point. And then Gatilla adds, the Madison Square Garden rally. There are pictures. It's pretty gross. I don't know if this truly applies to politics. I shelved an alien conspiracy story because of QAnon and Pizzagate. There's a lot going on in that sentence.
There is.
There is so much happening to unpack, but I think the Madison Square Garden rally was in reference to the Nazis. I'm pretty sure that they had a rally at Madison Square Garden, if I'm understanding that correctly. There you go. Siebert, a good friend and a frequent collaborator of mine. It was called the German American Bund.
What's a Bund?
Apparently it was coded language, or maybe not coded language, for Nazis in America. So there was a Nazi party.
All right. Well,
we did not know that. And so this is just a great example of saying, like, the idea of politics and comics is something new. It is absolutely not new. And then there were the ones at MSG, basically American Nazis. I should note that Andy Siebert, who is the comic artist behind the comic book Midlife Crisis that I wrote, he drew, and he's also a school teacher, so he probably knows a bit about the smart stuff.
He knows stuff.
He knows the smart stuff.
Yep.
Okay, Mike, so let's move on. So Captain America running for president. I remember this cover. I don't think I ever read the story, but I believe I have the comic. It is a wonderfully iconic cover. And then Superman being sworn in, annual 1991. Mike, could Superman actually be president of the United States?
He could not. He was not born here.
That is right, Mike. What is the other rule? What's the other requirement?
I believe you have to be 35.
35. So you're a little young, Mike. Maybe around next year,
a couple more years.
Throw that white hat into the ring, Mike, because by next year, this time, you will be able to. Hold on, let me just shrink this down.
I wonder if they gave Superman a special out because he's Superman.
Well, I believe by reading the Wikipedia entry, it was an imaginary story. DC would always have these. It was an imaginary story, and you're like, they're all imaginary.
The old Elseworlds.
The old Elseworlds. So I'm not sure if it was a real story or if he was actually sworn in, but it appears his hand is on a Bible.
Yep.
Yeah, the symbolism, and a voting button. He's the people's choice, Captain America for president. I don't know if he actually ran. Do you know? Did you read those issues?
I didn't read those issues, but he would. I can't really see him, hanging out in the White House doing presidential stuff. He'd want to be out in the field and fighting Nazis and stuff
with the wings on his head.
Yeah.
So
and would he keep the Captain America costume?
Gatilla's pretty tickled. He could be president.
Should we write?
He's still laughing about it. Gatilla's 39. He is in the prime age to lead off a primary, Mike.
We should write him in on our ballots.
I might. You never know. Things could happen. Have a few drinks, and all of a sudden it seems like a good idea to nominate somebody who comes on to comic book school. All right. So, Mike, other comics. So that was 1980 and that was 1991. Howard the Duck. Are you familiar with the Howard the Duck comic book or just the movie, Mike?
Well, I know the character, but I don't know anything about the comic book, and I certainly don't know that. I'm guessing that he's running for president.
So Howard was a satire. It often took on politics, frequently had appearances by political figures of the day in coded form. I'm pretty sure that Nixon showed up a few times, and it was just a weird time. And we should at one point do a special episode just on Steve Gerber, the writer and co-creator of Howard the Duck. He is a fascinating Marvel Comics writer. Apparently, he started to take this really seriously. They printed up merch and buttons and all kinds of different things. It appeared in the Howard the Duck comic. They had a special edition of Foom magazine. You could see the full wraparound cover. Now, legend had it that there were places in the country where people wrote in Howard the Duck as a candidate. The link below dispels the notion that people anywhere actually did the write-in, or if it was just Marvel hype rumoring. They believe that it was just Marvel hype rumoring. But I prefer to think that somebody like Glenn Gadilla, after having a few of those edibles that he said he was going to have, might have written in a Howard the Duck as a candidate.
I could pretty much say that someone somewhere wrote in Howard the Duck.
I've got a feeling that someone somewhere thought it was a funny idea. It is 1976. People were having fun, and I believe that some probably did, but CBR looks into it. I don't think they think it was that much. By the way, Mary M's says, the jingle of Howard the Duck, love it. By the way, I don't know. Have you seen the movie, Mike?
Yes, a long time ago.
What were your thoughts?
I vaguely remember things about it. Just that he and I can't remember the girl's name.
Beverly Switzer, right?
No, Beverly Switzer. Who's his love interest in the thing?
I forget what the name of the actress, but Beverly was the name of the.
Oh, that her thing? Yeah, that they they had a little encounter.
They had a little encounter. Oh,
yeah.
I did some write-ins once. Easy there, Glenn. Easy there. Mike Fasolo, you may be getting a nomination this year. As Miriam said, the song, the jingle that goes at the end of the Howard the Duck movie is very catchy. So like it.
Well, it's 3 words. That's it.
It's very catchy. Whoever did the movie really did a good job on the song.
They put up a nice jingle.
Was it Leah Thompson?
Leah Thompson. That's
Leah
it.
Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well
Leah Thompson was great. Played it completely straight. The movie itself did not succeed. I think it was Lucas's first non-Star Wars movie after Star Wars. He backed that as a producer, and it kind of flopped. And it was one of the very first Marvel movies.
Really?
It was.
He makes a appearance in the event in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. He said, "I saw it. Why does a lady duck have boobs? Why?" You know what? It is a weird, weird movie. The comic book was a weird, weird comic, but indeed, they were part of the zeitgeist in 1976, talking about elections. Let's move on, Mike, to the next thing. Prez. Have you ever checked out Prez?
I have never even heard of Prez.
Oh, hold on. This is what Mariam says. She says, hold on, regarding Howard the Duck. Lol. It is 3 words, but now that you pointed out, but it's the pause between the words and that woo woo that makes it memorable. Ha ha. So, Mike promised me you'll check out at least the end song on YouTube.
Oh, I know the song. It's just 3 words. It's
very catchy.
Yeah, it's just his name, Howard the Duck.
Woo woo. Prez, Mike. It's about an 18-year-old president of the United States. The original coming out, you can see the first teen president of the USA. That was when DC Comics would kind of try everything.
When was this done?
Sometime in the 70s. Prez was, I'm just going to give a personal opinion, horrifyingly bad comic. I felt like it had literally almost nothing redeeming, except if you read it ironically and you were like, this is crazy, but they played it straight. I don't think it was intended to be ironic or funny, at least in my estimation. But then later, Vertigo did a version. I guess they saw the weirdness of it. And then not too long ago, there was a recent version. Mark Russell, of course, who was on our show, about 2 years ago. We should maybe have him come back. Prez, I feel like, has no potential as a comic. Literally, this is one of the characters that if you asked me, hey, I'll give you, you want to write for DC? I'd be like, yeah, man, I'd love to. And they go, you want to write Prez? I'd be like, yeah, maybe I don't want to write.
I don't want it that bad.
I don't. Do you have any ideas? I don't. Like, do you think if somebody handed you 18-year-old president, would you do anything with it, or would you just go, I just can't get behind the concept?
I'd probably have to read all the back stuff and see what they did. I'm sure I could come up with something.
Yeah, I admire that you would try, because you're a professional writer. That's how you keep the lights on. If it comes with
a paycheck, I'm going to try.
Yeah, even with a paycheck, I might just go,
nope.
Not sure if I could do anything with Prez. It was a weird time at DC. I think maybe we should go back one day and just look at the weirdest comic books that DC Comics did, and they got really weird. Probably a little weirder, I would say, than the Marvel books, but I'm sure the audience can help us to determine who was putting out the stranger titles at that point. But I never resonated with Prez, but it's an election year, and he is an 18-year-old president. But according to the rules, Mikey has to be 35.
Yep.
Yeah. Or she.
That's
or
true.
she. Right. All right. Let it be known that Eric Larson with Savage Dragon is never, ever held back on any topic ever. And has quite literally drawn a line in the sand. Apparently, he might be a Democrat on the left. Decision 2020. That's Biden and Harris, then Obama, and then Bushwhacked. I believe that is him punching George Bush. Yeah. And then you can see Donald Trump.
It's a pretty good cover.
It's a pretty good cover. He is not at all subtle. So I would not be surprised to see a Savage Dragon cover this year. In fact, if they do a Savage Dragon cover this year, I hope people let us know, and we will run them. We should keep our eyes out for political covers this year. Mike Gatilla says, can he be an 18-year-old from when I was in high school, or does he have to be a modern 18-year-old? He is a modern 18-year-old, not a time travel. He's not a Benjamin Button. Prez is 18 years old.
It's funny to me that someone came up with that concept. They're like, hey, it's an 18-year-old president. Let's do a comic on it. And someone went, all right, that sounds good.
Mike, I agree. Like, anytime you self-censor yourself and say, you know what, this idea is too dumb. Remember, they made Sharknado 1, 2, and 3. and they've tried Prez at least 3 times, right?
Let's bring Prez back.
Right.
And someone's like, yeah, that's a great idea.
So, right. Somebody was like, let's bring Prez back. And you were like, I self-censored. I didn't even think it was a, okay. So Savage Dragon, Barack Obama. I could not find any other really clear examples of Marvel Comics or DC Comics this boldly putting a president recently elected on the cover. Never saw. I don't think I've seen anything else quite like it. I did do my searching. This is a very famous cover. It's a variant edition. You're familiar with this one, right, Mike?
I am. Yes.
He actually appears in the issue.
Yeah.
He's partners with Spidey.
I don't think I've read the Archie one. I think it's a great looking cover. I haven't read that one though.
Yeah, but it's Barack Obama and Sarah Palin.
Well, they're friends when they're off the campaign.
They are, and they're sipping from the same shake, probably at Pop's Shake House or something. And
Pop's Cafe now.
Yeah, and it looks like this was part of a two-parter. Yeah, look at it. It says it's Campaign Pain, part 1 of 2. So
they made a two-parter of it.
It was a two-parter. I'll just warn you now, Mike, after this, it gets a little grittier in the next couple of examples. All right, next example. Did you know, honestly, Mike, the internet is a weird place. I don't know if these are real or if these are mock-ups. And this is one of the places where I'm going to go, I think, as creators. There are certain places that are open game. You can mock up your own cover, but be careful. I don't know if anybody owns Wizard anymore, Mike, but you probably won't get in trouble for defunct publications, but you might get in trouble if you did a Spider-Man or an Archie cover. But I don't know if these are real covers. Do you think they are?
I think we would have seen them. They are not real covers.
So Gatilla's a little ahead of us. Devils Do Comics in 2000 went hard with Obama stuff. Most of it was corny. Glenn already knows what slide is coming up. He's already jumping ahead in the story. But I will tell you,
he knows the future.
Yeah, I don't know if these are real. I don't know if anybody can tell us. We might have to see if we can talk to like one of the Wizard legends.
Yeah, we should talk to the Wizard podcast guys. They know everything there is to know about Wizard.
Yeah, I don't know if these are real.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to really.
This one says J. Scott Campbell, and this one looks like it's signed by Alex Ross. But
unless it's possible they had them drawn just because, hey, maybe we'll use them. But I can't believe that even happened.
I'm having a hard time. I would have thought we would have known about that, Mike. But fun. People just if you're on watching, Mike and I both met working at Wizard. We shared an office and many laughs, right, Mike?
Yes, we did.
Many laughs.
Maybe you can tell them the carrot story.
No, that's not a funny story. That's not a funny carrot story. Is not a funny story. Maybe student art. I don't know. It looks pretty sophisticated to me to be student art, but it could be almost anything. But it's clearly who it's supposed to be. Let's go to the next one. AOC.
What?
Has graced several comic book covers. This one appearing perhaps to be an homage to the Captain America cover. She is slugging Cap, and then with the little Bucky image right here, and then another one here where she is a superhero, and she is with the Freshman Force. Apparently, there is the Freshman Force.
There's a lot more comics out that I have never seen or heard of or even considered.
That is part of what makes this show great. So Miriam says, those comic book logos do circulate around the colleges for portfolio. How sophisticated they have type over the scan bar. Interesting. Miriam's a real artist, so she knows stuff. As an actual artist, she knows the stuff. So anyway, I think there was a big rush of covers when AOC, who is from New York, was elected. She was one of the youngest members to be elected, and lots of people got excited about it. So Glenn Gatilla had mentioned Devil's Due comics. You can see Devil's Due over here. They did indeed do quite a few political comics. I'd like to note that Keen Spot also did quite a few comics. Mike, you know, Keen Spot was, if I got this right, Chris Crosby, who was on our Wizard message boards and created Keen Spot on the Wizard World on AOL message boards.
Huh, interesting. But no, I've never heard of Keen Spot.
Keen Spot. So I think it's Chris Crosby, if I'm not mistaken. Chris continued to publish some 30 years later, and Keen Spot publishes, and then Jared says, pretty funny, there is a lot of punching on those political covers. You know what? You're right. And there's a lot of politics is a hard-hitting sport, right, Mike? Full contact.
Hard-hitting, that's good. I like
hard-hitting, full contact sport. Okay. A little bit more from Keen Spot. Biden's Titans. Now, okay, just riddle me this, Mike. This would be Kamala, right?
Yep.
Kamala. Who's math?
Buttigieg, maybe?
All right. And then
maybe
who's the lady in green and white?
Maybe would that be AOC again? I don't know.
Why would AOC make? Oh, maybe it is AOC. And then what's Trump saying here?
I can't read it.
I can't read it either. Let's see. Not leaving. Not leaving. All right. And then Trump's Titans versus the end, riffing off a famous Spider-Man cover. He's walking away. He's got a T on his back, and it says Trump's Titans versus the end. A Titan, no more. Now, Mike, as I've said, I am not discussing my personal politics, nor do I get into politics all that much. I will tell you, I did not really find much in support of Donald Trump in ways of comic book covers.
No, very so much.
Let me show you what I found. And again, if I am incorrect, the 50% that does support Trump should feel free to reach out, leave a note in the comment section and a link if I've missed anything. I did a quick search on Pinterest because Pinterest is awesome. I love Pinterest. I know that I shouldn't spend so much time on Pinterest, but I'm always like playing with Pinterest. It's kind of like it's kind of a good way to relax. Pinterest is a fun way to relax.
It shuts your mind off.
No, it ignites my mind. I'm like, oh, I have to save this picture. I love Pinterest. So anyway, I did a search for Trump covers, comic book covers. Got a huge number of Trump comic book covers, but I wanted to zoom in on some of my more favorites, Mike. I think the one on the right has to be my favorite, Really Rich Billions.
That's a good one.
Best, biggest rich boy, billions of slights. I just felt like this Richie Rich parody hit me in the feels. The unquotable Trump, amazing, huge, tremendous, stupid. Trump and his very own quote unquote best words. And then this was just a tweet just before we came on. I just happened to open up, and Pat Brousseau, who is a comic book creator, substitute Professor X is a jerk.
Yep.
The famous Kitty Pryde quote with his own words. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Look right over here, Trump, the iPhone, right,
yes,
the little T on it. Honestly, this is where I think some of the most interesting stuff is happening in the parody space, often when in the cover space. Now, whether or not you support one candidate over another candidate, I just think that as creators, we are uniquely positioned to tell stories with pictures, and we can share our personal opinions. We will likely offend 50% of the population, maybe not the people directly around you, but it's a pretty good chance that you're going to offend somebody. But as
Oh
a
yeah.
comic book creator, you have the ability to do things just like this, right, Mike?
Yep. You can get this out there as much as you want, and you will guarantee it offend people.
You will offend certain people. Now, I don't know. Oops. I don't know if these make money. You look at the ones by Devil's Due and Keen Spot, they might make money. This kind of stuff might be profitable. These things might actually be collector's items where people are buying them as a gift, they're buying them as a novelty. Um, it might be a way to get your political voice out there. It might be just a way to turn a profit. I mean, I don't.
I think it's probably one of those things that's pretty neat to see, and it is if you're a fan, you're like, oh, this is good to have, but will it ever actually be worth the same as X-Men #1 or Action Comics #1? No, it's fun to have. That's about it. You could put it in your resin things like you did last week.
You could put it in the resin things, but if you look at something like this, I think the artistry and the design that goes into these is a demonstration of the talent that we have in the comic book community. I can't say I encourage or discourage people, but I would say that if there was a time that you wanted to try it, this is an election year. It's one of those things that will show up in a 24-hour news cycle. They're always looking for something to report on. Maybe your local news will pick it up. Maybe you'll go to a local con and people will buy them. But I don't know. I'm very optimistic when I look at things like this, because I just feel like this is a time when comic creators can have their voices heard, both if they care deeply about politics or if they're just really funny.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It is the time to do it.
Now, Mike, you wrote for the entire duration of Robot Chicken. Do you guys ever do anything with politics?
We threw a few things in there. Yeah, now and then we had a bunch of Trump stuff. We had some Obama stuff. We had did we have Superman? We had Superman being an illegal alien at some point and getting kicked out of the country.
Oh, that Robot Chicken.
Yeah, we touched on a lot of stuff. Yeah,
All irreverent all the time. Maryam said, "Oh, should I make my prior Trump sketches into comics? Is that what I just heard?" This is not legal advice, Maryam. I would say, I would say carefully weigh the benefit to what it might do with your career. Some people don't care. Some people are fully behind their candidates and support them and will use it as political material. Gatilla says lots of Bush stuff too. I used to watch in college. Yeah, well, what was it? Will Ferrell famously did George Bush, was tremendous at that. Probably one of the best presidential impersonators ever.
yeah, and Dana Carvey as the first Bush. Yeah,
That's the very. He was terrific as well.
it was great.
I think, Mike, as we think about opportunity as comic book creators, sometimes you have to think about what is happening in the zeitgeist. What's happening in the real world will generally have a ripple effect. So if you're using social media and you are creating a comic book that has political leanings or an overt parody or whatever you want to make sample cover, it's probably a good time to do it, because people will be looking for this on social media. The outrage machine is running 24/7, right? People need to be outraged about something. They need to be angry about something. So they might as well. But really, think about it carefully. If you're going to put something out there, don't be surprised if people are offended.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, you will offend people.
You will offend people. Miriam said, if your art doesn't offend someone, you're playing it too safe. Ruffle feathers with your pencils and markers. Lol. I think lol. I don't know about you, Mike. I think you and I have tried pretty hard to not offend.
Yeah, I usually try to stay on this side of the line of offense.
I do. I personally am not, but I'm not an artist in that sense. Like you're a writer for hire.
Yep. Yep.
A writer for hire. Oh, by the way, I forgot. Danielle brought this in. She brought it in literally from outside and washed it off so I could have a red, white, and blue because I wasn't wearing red, white, and blue. And gave us it. She literally washed it and dried it for the show.
Nice.
So I would.
Yeah, good job, Danielle.
Yes, my daughter Danielle did a great job. So thumbs up from the garden gnome. Mike, final thoughts on considerations and things that you, because I know you did a bit of looking into this. What are your thoughts on politics and comics? Because I think you had said you hadn't thought about it much until I sent you the links and you did some research.
Yeah, I really hadn't thought about it at all. I mean, I knew that there were certain things in comics, like the X-Men as, like the civil rights and all that. But it's not something that I focused on because, they weren't out there protesting and holding rallies. They were fighting the Skrulls and the Shi'ar Empire. So you knew that they were kind of an offshoot of humanity, and regular humans didn't like them, but that wasn't really the focus. It was more all the galactic adventures and fighting Magneto and things like that. So
Well,
it
the
wasn't
X-Men always had that symbolism.
yeah.
And, we should probably do an episode on the symbolism behind the X-Men. It's pretty worn territory, but I often thought about that as well. It was something clicked in my head when I realized, well, gosh, this is an election year. What have comic book creators specifically done around election years in the past? And I got to tell you, there's a lot. I mean, I just showed a very small segment of what I found. There's a tremendous amount of material out there. And even the tweet that we saw with, President Trump is a jerk or whatever that is, it just shows that you can actually use that, remix it, and send out a message. And I thought that's really interesting. At first, I just shared the picture, and then I was like, no, let me share the whole tweet because I think that's part of the narrative, Mike. I think the person who sent it out has a political candidate that he likes or doesn't like. And this is your platform. You can do what you want. You're a creator. If you could make this stuff and do the design or work with somebody, you can have an influence on American politics.
Yep. Yes, you can. Maybe you can get somebody to write your name in.
Maybe you can. And Mike, I think, hold on, let me go back. We're going to go back to our slides and we're going to repeat. Mike, what is our motto for this year?
Do the things.
What are the things, Mike?
You got to do the things that are going to get you the things.
That's right, Mike. You got to do the things. If you want to make comics, you got to do the things. If you want to work in TV or write a book or whatever, you got to do the things. Do the things. Hold on. Somebody just said our motto is not the face. That is clearly Greg Orlando. I'm not entirely sure what that one means. But hello, Greg. It's nice to see you. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We love Greg Orlando, a good personal friend. So, Mike, in 2024, do the things. And as we wrap up, I repeat that I did the things this year, and I'm really proud of it. Next month, you should see a new comic on the stands. Look for it. No, not always the face. I don't understand that joke, Mike. Someone will have to explain it to me. But be sure to check out the very Valentine's Day special. I am very excited. My name is Buddy Scalera. This is my good friend, Mike Fasolo, and we hope to see you next week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.